This is KGW News at Sunrise.
This morning and on Sunrise, an hours-long search for a fugitive on the run ended without an arrest. He's still considered armed and dangerous, and now police are asking for your help to find him.
New security footage shows thieves stealing thousands of dollars worth of merchandise from a family-owned business in Old Town.
I think it's definitely an organized crime situation.
We spoke with the owner, who tells us this isn't the first time this has happened.
Let's switch gears to Thanksgiving, shall we?
Yes.
Although, Rod, this headline's not really fun either, because with extremely high gas prices and really high prices at the grocery store, this is shaping up to be perhaps the most expensive. No. Well, yes, perhaps the most expensive Thanksgiving ever. We'll have more on that coming up at 5:25.
Is this Gas Buddy again? I'm calling it Gas Frenemy.
Yeah, not great.
All the
You guys are in the same camp there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
By golly, focus on the food, the fellowship, and let's have a great holiday.
Not the fuel.
That's going to happen too.
Okay,
Right.
good. All right. Well, it depends on where you are again this morning. Everybody's clear, but the temperature depends on whether you have a little wind coming from the east or whether you're calm. So the lower the numbers, the better the bet that it's calm. So look at Hillsboro, 24. Downtown Portland holding a 40 with a bit of an east breeze into downtown. Gresham and Troutdale still a breeze. In fact, Troutdale is still gusting to like 38 miles per hour. Still very windy over on the east side near the gorge, but calmer across much of the valley. There's Almsville and Salem and Dallas at 31 and Kaiser is at 28. So good coat weather out the door this morning. The sunshine continues. Like yesterday, there will be lots of areas with not much of a wind, and that will mean the sun and the 50-something degree temperatures will feel pretty nice. 51 at noon would be the third day in a row we've done that. Then we'll be up into the mid-50s and cool down to about 49 at 5 p.m. We have colder weather that will catch your attention coming in tomorrow. Tomorrow night, I'll talk about that coming up.
All right, Rod, thanks for that update. We do have a lot of news to cover this morning as well, including this breaking news from Poland this morning. Officials now believe the Russian missiles that killed 2 people in Poland were most likely an accident caused by Ukrainian air defense. Tensions spiraled yesterday after missiles fell into a village near Poland's border with Ukraine, and it stoked fears that this would escalate the war between Russia and Ukraine.
This morning, law enforcement officers need your help after suspending the search for a wanted man in Cowlitz County. Here he is, 41-year-old Kevin James Reynolds. Call 911 if you see him. Among other things, he's wanted for robbery. Both Cowlitz and Columbia County deputies tried to arrest him at a home in Rainier yesterday near Heath and Rainier Roads. But instead of going quietly, they say he came outside, fired a gun at a person just walking by, then ran off into the woods.
We searched several outbuildings, several residences. We used a canine and actually a man tracking team. We're fairly confident he's not in the area anymore. However, he's still considered armed and dangerous.
So here's another look at his picture. If you see Kevin Reynolds, you're asked to call 911.
A family business in Old Town is counting their losses after thieves broke in and stole thousands of dollars worth of merchandise. This all happened early yesterday morning.
And it's not the first time it's happened to this business either. KGW's Catherine Cook talked to the owners who say, yes, they are frustrated, but still, they have no plans to leave.
With every stitch, Martin Martinez feels his family's business coming together. Handcrafted leather goods made with craftsmanship passed down from his great-grandfather in Mexico. The brand and their legacy is Aurochs.
The word Aurochs is the combination of Oregon and Oaxaca. So we combine the 2 places that we love.
A love that's being tested. Around 4 a.m. Tuesday, security video shows 3 people breaking into Aurochs Leather Company on Northwest 4th and Cooch.
I think it's definitely an organized crime situation.
They fill what appears to be a sleeping bag with just about everything on display. Martinez figures they lost around $25,000 worth, the bulk of their Black Friday inventory.
We didn't expect to be boarded up for the holidays. Definitely hurt by this event this morning.
Martinez's family replaced their stolen goods with backstock and posted a sign that says they're open, despite the boarded windows. Besides this break-in, Martinez says their downtown location has also been broken into twice in the last 2 years. He now worries about keeping his insurance coverage on top of everything else.
Small businesses struggle in a post-pandemic world, and despite things getting better, we need people to show up, in our neighborhoods and support small family businesses like ours.
Orox has been at this Old Town address for 12 years now. Despite increased crime, Martinez says he doesn't want to leave. Knock on wood, he won't have to. He wants to believe things can get better and safer here. He hopes the city does too.
Tackling those root causes of why this happens.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Following another shooting near Jefferson High School, district leaders are doing more to address the violence. They're speeding up the timeline to install cameras around the building and may even put an officer outside the building before and after school. The latest shooting happened Monday, just after school let out. Police say a 17-year-old was shot in the arm, and while they'll be okay, this is the second time a student was hurt in a shooting near the school in just the last month.
These types of situations totally strike home for me. I'm a father of a son, and his safety is totally my foremost concern. And I share that same concern with our families of our PPS students. We're optimistic. We're working very closely with PPB and the city to put in place some measures that we hope will be able to curb this violence.
Police have not made any arrests in either case, but if you know anything, contact Portland Police.
Now to the latest from this week's tragedy near the University of Idaho, where 4 students were found dead in a home near the campus. So police received a call about an unconscious person Sunday morning. When they arrived at that home, they found 4 students dead. On Tuesday, Moscow police say they believe a sharp weapon, like a knife, was used here. They say this was an isolated and targeted attack. All of the victims between 20 and 21 years old, all from Idaho or Washington. Their families, meanwhile, are asking for people to stop all the rumors, and now they're waiting for investigators to release more information.
We're just trying to process it. It's not a call that you think that you're going to have to speak with the funeral home directors and the FBI and have it hit national news.
Investigators at this point are working on a timeline before police were called, specifically Saturday night and early Sunday morning. Still, to this point, police have not named or arrested any suspects.
Now to some of the other headlines we're tracking.
We're here to talk about one of the most horrific things I think that people can go through in a public setting or a workplace, and that is active shooters.
That's a snippet of the latest episode of the Portland Police Bureau's podcast called Talking Beat. It's all about preparing for active shooters. It discusses warning signs and what to do if you ever find yourself in the middle of a dangerous situation. You can listen to this episode of Talking Beat on the City of Portland's website. At noon today, the Oregon Health Authority is putting on its second public hearing, asking for input on how the state should regulate psilocybin. That's the psychoactive ingredient found in magic mushrooms. Oregon voters passed a measure back in 2020 allowing the use of therapeutic psilocybin, but the rules don't go into effect until next year. The final hearing is tomorrow morning at 10. And in Pacific City, fire crews are dealing with a late-season wildfire near the Washington coast. It's burning in the hills near the town of Chinook. Officials say strong winds quickly spread those flames. Residents are under level 1 evacuation orders, meaning they need to be ready to leave if the situation gets worse. Officials say this fire covers at least 25 acres, and they're working to determine how it started. And those are some of your Wednesday morning headlines.
We talked about it being late in the season. Am I right in saying, Rod, this is super late in what would be wildfire season?
Keep in mind, obviously that's human caused. There's been no lightning. There hasn't even been a cloud.
Right.
So, we humans can literally start a fire at just about any single time of the year, and that's evidence of it right there. Here's a look at what's going on the satellite picture. Cold front up in Canada. This is what a cold front is, by the way, is just the leading edge of a new batch of air that would be colder than the air that's moving into. Now, I know we've had cold nights, but the afternoons have been pretty nice. This batch of air arrives into our area during the day tomorrow, and it will take highs that have been in the 50s, lower them down into the 40s, and it will reignite a more widespread east wind field tomorrow. A lot of us have seen calming winds the last couple days away from the gorge. Those winds will refire tomorrow. So here's my graphic. Colder air Thursday and Friday. Tomorrow, east winds becoming more widespread, 15 to 30 miles per hour, still gusting to 40 plus out near the gorge. And then the big headline here is this one. Thursday night into Friday morning and Friday night into Saturday morning, that new batch of air is really dry. It has dew points down to the teens. So areas that are wind protected from the east wind could get all the way down to 21 or at least to 27 degrees. This would be Friday morning and Saturday morning. So that would be a very, very hard freeze. Again, if you haven't done things like disconnect the garden hoses, that type of thing, you'll want to make sure you do that. Gusty east winds in the gorge, by the way, continuing into the day Saturday. We have a rainy Pacific pattern returning the first of next week. That'll shut off those east winds. All right, clear skies, 34 now out at the airport. We have plenty of freezing numbers around the region. There's that wind still blowing out in East Multnomah County to Troutdale, gusting to 37. That continues today. Temperatures, Salem's freezing, Kelso's 27, 40s at the coast though, 41 up in Astoria. 8 in Burns, where you folks were down to that 0 degree number 24 hours ago. All right, it will be a beautiful sunny day again in the afternoons. If you don't have much of a breeze at your house, will feel quite lovely. Mid-50s on average from McMinnville, Salem, Corvallis 53. Similar numbers up through Southwest Washington. Longview 53, 55 in Battleground and Vancouver. We'll go 55 here in Portland. The gusty winds we talked about tomorrow, highs only in the 40s the next couple days. Windy spots will be closer to freezing the next several nights, but if you don't get the wind, you'll be really cold like we talked about. And there's the rain returning on Monday and Tuesday of next week, and that's your forecast.
All right, Rod, you know, this is also toy drive time here at KGW. So coming up in just a minute, we're going to take you on a unique journey. It's the traveling toy in this segment. If you've ever wondered how exactly your donations to the toy drive help, we're going to show you from the shelf to that little child's hands. Again, this story is coming up in just a moment.